So creating your new floor plan or just a new, um, file in general, you're gonna need to go to create new, and then we're gonna be using the feet and inches. I'm gonna click. Then you should end up here, and there's gonna be a little lady here. Let's leave her alone for a while, but let's go over some basics. So you could zoom in and zoom out by like scrolling on the center of your mouse, and then like that. In and out. If you have like a trackpad, it's probably like zoom in and out on your trackpad. Another way to zoom in and out is go to this orbit tool, and then you're gonna see a magnifying glass, and then you can zoom in by moving, like holding it down. You see how my mouse is hold it down, and you just move your mouse kind of to the area you want to zoom out of, and click until you want to zoom into something. Another basic tool is the selection tool. So the selection tool allows you to select something in SketchUp. So you grab your selection tool, and it's just a little white mouse over here. You're just going to click, and it allows us to select objects in SketchUp. Lastly, well, not lastly, there's actually a lot. But a pretty basic one is another one. If you come to your zoom, and then there's this one called an orbit tool. Orbit will let you like orbit around SketchUp. And now let's kind of orbit to this way. So I want to explain like these red, green, and blue lines. So the red line and the green line, think of it like as the ground, like if there was grass there. And then like anything below that in this area would be like dirt and ground. So we always want to draw like on the ground or grass area. And the way to remember that is the way I was taught, like the green is grass, and then blue, like up and down, is sky. So if it goes up, it's the sky, and if it goes down, I mean, I don't know, no way to remember that, but just the opposite of the sky is like underground. Um, but basically, these are just your axis and I guess like quadrants that you would draw in. I always like to start drawing in the top, like if we're looking at it kind of like this. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4. I like drawing over here in this first like quadrant area in the top right hand corner. This would be the bottom right hand, bottom left hand, and top left hand. I always like drawing over here, um, where the lines are like solid. Okay, so you always draw lines parallel and perpendicular to these blue and green lines, because if you don't draw them like perpendicular or parallel to the blue and green lines, then your entire project can go really wrong, because faces and lines start intersecting with each other when they shouldn't be intersecting with each other. Um, Okay, so let's kind of start doing other things on here. So let's go to this little tool. It's called the Move tool. And this is kind of like your toolbar over here. You'll find everything. So your Move tool, let's just select it. And we're selecting the Move tool. So let's grab the lady and let's kind of move her in the other quadrant. But actually, let me explain the axis again. So you see how like I obviously clicked her, and now I'm kind of just moving my mouse in the direction where I want her, which is off to the left hand side. Um, it's going like at a red axis, and then no axis, green axis, and then if we kind of move our mouse like in the up direction, it could be on the blue axis, and we just want to make sure we're moving her along the red axis. Obviously she can go anywhere she needs to go, but you place her in the direction that is required, that's required of the project. And another little trick, because sometimes when we're moving things like long distances, it's hard to stay on that correct axis. If you hold down shift on your keyboard, someone hold down shift, obviously the lines will get I guess bolder, and then I can't move it because, so you see how I'm kind of like trying to move my mouse kind of off to the side. It will only stay on the red axis because we're holding down shift, and it's kind of like locks that direction into place. So now if I let go of shift, I can obviously move her wherever I need to. But again, if I put it in shift, it locks it into place, and then I could click wherever I need her to move. So I'm going to move her in the red direction, hold down shift and click. And now she should be kind of off on the top left hand side. Okay, so next thing we're going to talk about is our line tool. And our line tool you can find right here. It's a little pencil, so we're going to click it. Click our pencil, and I always like starting the drawings right at this intersection, the origin where all the lines meet. So I'm just going to start, and we can click, and you can draw your line over this way, obviously anywhere over here. But what we do when we start drawing on SketchUp is we stay with the axis. Like I said, we don't go off the axis because that could really mess up our model. So notice down here in the left or the right hand corner, bottom right hand corner, it gives us the length of our lines. So let's say we're going to draw a 10-foot wall. So let's go ahead and start with 10 feet. I'm going to type 10 feet. And remember, the feet is the one little tick, and I click enter, and it'll draw a 10-foot line. But I did have to be in that direction. So look, if I want to draw like a 10-foot line, like in that direction, my mouse has to be in the location where I kind of want it to end. So I'm like, I want a 10-foot line in this direction. Or I could type 10 feet, enter, but it's in that direction. And we don't want to go off that red and green axis. So let's just make sure we continue to stay on our red and green and don't go off on the black lines, because that will mess everything up. So if you had done this example, all you have to do is click like this little back arrow, and it'll take you back. Control Z on your keyboard works as well. If we wanted to continue, like making a room, we would start by, let's just do a simple box. So I'm going to click again at this endpoint, and I'm going to now go in the red axis. So I kind of move my mouse and hover it over along the red axis. It's going to stay there. I'm going to type 10 feet. I'm going to click enter. And again, I'm going to want to go back to create the square. So I want to go in this direction, stay on the green axis, type 10 feet, enter, and then I could just continue it, and I want my pencil to snap into the place of the square. So I'm just going to click, and now it gives us a perfect square. Notice how it's blue? That's called a surface. And we can select the surface by going back and getting our selection tool, and it'll highlight the surface. And then there's lines around it. So there's 4 lines around it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, 4. So there's different things in SketchUp. There's lines and there's surfaces. You could do different things with different surfaces, and lines act differently. It's only those two. But they could only go for different commands. So like a push and pull, if I wanted to pull this square up, I can't do that to a line because it's just a line. So for example, let's go ahead and select this surface. I would just select the surface. But if I wanted to select the lines attached to the surface, I would double click it and see how it would become all selected. That's going to be something you need to know as we move further along in SketchUp. I just clicked off of it off to the side. So our next tool that we're going to learn is the offset tool. So it's probably over here under this push and pull tool. You're going to click that, and offset is this one right here. So you can only offset a surface. You cannot offset we're offsetting our lines, but you have to have a surface to offset on. So basically what's going to happen is this is my surface. I'm going to click it, and it's going to offset all the lines that are attached to it. So think about this as a floor plan. Let's look at it. And this can be the wall like thickness. So I don't care where you place your, because right now I'm just hovering over it. I had clicked it once. Now I'm kind of just hovering over it. Let's just click and about, ooh, no, we can't click. Okay. So I don't care if you place it right here and I'm not clicking anything, or if you leave it right here without clicking anything, doesn't matter. Just leave your mouse there. And now we're going to type 4 inches. 4, shift, and the little inch key, and click enter. So you see what that does? That offset all those lines 4 inches. And let me show you how you can check. So let's go get the orbit and click, measuring tape right here. And you can see what's measured from this point to this point. And you see how it says 4 inches? That's what it offset, 4 inches. Okay, so that's an important tool we're going to be using, because technically 4 inches is an interior wall. And look, it just created 4 interior walls. Okay, now let's go ahead and try our push and pull tool. Let's grab the offset and then go to our push and pull tool right here. And a push and pull will only push and pull surface. So we can push, and we want to pull out of this surface so we can make like the walls. So I'm hovering over it. I'm going to click it and bring it up. You can obviously go down, but we're looking at this like going up. So remember, up into the sky along the blue axis. I haven't clicked anything, but I am going to type 8 feet and enter. And now we can check if our walls are 8 feet by grabbing our tape measure and measuring from one edge to the other. And then there you go, 8 feet. And I can just click escape to get out of that. And now we have a 10 by 10 room.